squad.
So the only one that's struggling is Sean Hoare at the minute. He won't make the game. He won't make this week. He probably won't make next week. Bearing in mind we'd be hopeful that he'll be okay within the next sort of couple of weeks.
Killian and Kenny?
Killian had a knee strain from last week, but we're hopeful he'll be okay for Wednesday. Bermo had an ankle that he would have picked up with Tala. We're optimistic he'll be okay for Wednesday as well. I could have potentially played him the other night, but I said there's no too big a risk, bearing in mind he could have broke down potentially, and then you'd be missing him for the game on Wednesday. So
and Kenny Brown will be okay?
Kenny Brown had a slight groin strain. We'll be hopefully he'll be okay as well. It will be a last minute pull out from his end of it, but I don't see that happening.
Can you tell us a little bit about them from what you have seen of them?
Yeah, they would have done quite a bit on them in relation to the last few weeks. They've had probably 3 or 4 friendlies, which we got through YouTube and all that. We could watch them. Ironically, for their Super Cup last week, which is the league champions against the Cup champions, the night before they played, but we feel the night before they played, that Cup final was their main team. So I don't know whether that was sort of throwing in for us or whatever.
Your man has said, Berg has said that he wanted to play against European opposition, that they're too used to playing Polish opposition. So he wanted to play someone else before the European game. That's why they played the Israelis.
That was on the Wednesday. That was on
Tuesday they played the Israelis and Wednesday
was the Super Cup. So the Tuesday team was probably closer to the one that play against us. As David have there, like they're full of internationals, etc., etc. Their expectations from their end is that they're looking forward to the group stages. By all accounts, this draw will be sort of down the line a little bit for them. That they see themselves, if not making the group stage of the Champions League, certainly the group stage of the Europa League. So they're obviously aiming to get through us. That said, when I spoke to one or two of the Polish media, we did remind them of last year when we played Zalgiris. We drew 2-2 with Zalgiris. And then they joined us over 2-1 here. I'm sure you might have been at the game. There wasn't a lot in it. And bearing in mind we did great. Jared scored a fantastic goal over there. Wasn't a lot in the game, I would have felt. But they went on to beat a team from Armenia, Punic, I think it was, wasn't it? Actually Punic. Then they went on to play Lech Poznan, who were their main rivals. They would have drew 1-1 last year with them, and 1-0 was the other result. I don't know if they won or lost 1-0. But it was tight. Lech Poznan themselves would be. Lech Poznan's coefficient is higher than Legia's. Anyway, long story short, the point I'm getting to here is that the team that beat us beat Lech Poznan to get through to the playoff round, and they got knocked out by Salzburg from Austria. So it just gives a bit of a feel for where they're at now. I've no doubt, the reason I'm saying it, I've no doubt they'll be looking at that and saying, well, if Pats can draw with them over there and just be pipped by them here, and then David on to beat Lech Poznan, you know, I'm sure they'll give us a little bit of respect from that end of it. I believe he was at the game last week. So I've no doubt he'll look at it, not so much the game and the 90 minutes there, but he'll give him a feel for it, but equally, you know, he will look back on what we've done and where we're at, and I'm sure he will give us that respect and make sure they have been training particularly well. Like Joe was mentioning to me last week, you can see this on YouTube, where they train and where they train, etc. Like they're a big organisation. They're a big club. Their turnover is massive in relation to where that. You see their stadium, 100 million, revamp on it and all that sort of stuff. They are a big, but that said, we've spoken about it. We've seen some of the games they've played in recent weeks. We want to give ourselves a chance of getting something out again to make sure we get it back to Dublin. And that's basically it. They are good. On our day, we'll have to bring our A game. And if we do get our A game, I think we'll give them a game.
Yeah. Last 2 years, Pats in Europe has been a real success story, apart from last year.
Yeah.
Is that overgone to the players' minds, Liam?
No, I'd like to think, like when I look at Brendan and Ger, I've had Brendan Ger with me for the last few years, and equally the likes of Killian Brennan, Keith Fahey, you know, just Kenny Brown. We've got a few fellas here that have experienced European football over the last few years, and they know how difficult they are. Like, you're playing, like, this is the champions of each league here, like, you know, it's not the second, third or fourth or whatever, which might give you a little sort of, this is the championship line. I've no doubt it's going to be difficult, but I'd like to think they're all looking forward to it. Like, you know what I'm saying? If they're not looking forward to it and saying, listen, let's pitch again, if we play as well as we can do, and that's fine. Like, we played Aberdeen here a few weeks back, and like in the first half I thought we were great. I said, if you play like that against these, you give yourself a chance, you know. And it is about retaining the ball and making sure we take pride in every pass. we're all honest and we'll work for each other and link it in like we can do. And if we do that, we give ourselves a chance. But if you don't, if you give the ball back to them easily, they'll hurt you, as we found out over the last few years. But I've no doubt all our players are well capable of jumping into this and doing well, and I expect them to do so.
The fact that the other 3 League of Ireland teams went through the other night, does that sort of bit of added sort of pressure on you, or did you just close your mind off from all of that?
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely delighted they've all got through, because they'll have more matches to play. But no, it's great that they've got through, because we're all representing the league here, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'd like them to get you another couple of rounds. That's good chase, because it is better profile for you guys. We get a better profile in the media through all this, so I would hope that they get through the next round. They've all got difficult matches. The first round is normally you got some sort of chance in it. It steps up dramatically. Like we're talking about Legia Warsaw, you're talking about Rosenborg, you're talking about Hajduk Split. Like these all have pedigrees in Europe. They've all done something. They've all picked up results and all that sort of stuff. And their expectations are the groups. They're looking at the groups here. Where we're sort of looking, let's get through the round here. We're just trying to focus on it. If we could turn these over, it'd be a big result for us. But one that we've got to work extremely hard over there. We've got to set up that we don't want to lose the game, and set up and give ourselves a chance of getting something back here.
Do you know Edinburgh?
No, I haven't met him, no.
Steve ties into your point about the other 3 teams played lesser teams in the last few weeks. Stephen said that he wasn't going to change his game plan to attack. He could probably afford to say that was the most greatest. You would have to change yours, be a bit more conservative. Yeah,
we will definitely be a little bit more conservative in relation to, like, here we just try and win every game. We just set up to try and win. The guys would say, we always try to talk about how we're going to win it, what we're going to try and do. We do respect the opposition and say, okay, this will be a little bit more, like they are full of internationals. We've seen them playing, they have got a decent history. They are the champions of Poland. They've brought in Henning Berg, they've transformed the stadium over the last 2 or 3 years. Big budgets. Expectations are huge from their point of view. From our game plan, we will change our game plan ever so slightly. We want to give ourselves a chance of getting something out of the game, but certainly we don't want to negate as much as we possibly can do, their strengths. What else? Any else? As I say, looking at them, their off-season and pre-season as well. Their big break is in the winter break. They've only been off for a couple of weeks here. They all got a couple of weeks off season and back in training, so they would have been programmed for that 2 weeks so that they don't lose too much. You wouldn't lose anyway too much in those 2 weeks, and then they're back in. They're doing a few friendly matches, which we've seen. So fitness-wise, they won't be far off where we're at. I would like to think all our lads are relatively fit, bearing in mind we're mid-season.
Anyone in particular sort of a danger man that you've identified?
No, just again, like most of the teams, the good teams, it's the collective with them. It's they'll pass the ball well, they'll run you around if you're not careful, So we need to make sure we have a definite shape about ourselves to give ourselves some sort of chance of picking it up. And when we do, then we know what we're about. Like we have bits and pieces with Ger and Conan down the right. We have Christy Forrester and Bermo here, the middle three, what we were working them. But we do want to give ourselves a chance to get something out of the game, and we feel we can. Let's be straight. That's you were in.
Remember in 2011, actually something like this, talking about Sullivan, who said there was no way an Irish club would ever make the group stages 3 months before they did. Is it unrealistic again, or can an Irish club go that?
No pressure.
Yeah, it's you have to look at what you're playing against here. Like we're playing against Legia Warsaw. They're spending 50 million this year on their whole gig there. Ours we've won, you know what I'm saying? If you put that into perspective, like I was on the day the other day, and if let's say 20 million of that is going on there, it was one of the Polish media lads said to me, what sort of budget would you have for your players? I said, we wouldn't be anywhere near a million on our players. Nowhere near it. And I said, well, what would they be spending? He said, over 20. Like if you work 20 into 30 players, that's 700 grand a player. That kind of, so it's
John Delaney earns that sort of money in Irish football. since Richard Sadlier knocked it on the head and went to the dark side.
But it's that sort of scenario. That's what you're dealing with.
It's called a week sorted.
You're talking about serious gig here. But apart from that, it's all the expertise and all that. Like we're touching on some of that expertise with our lads, but you'd like it. We'd love their resource. You know what I'm saying? We could make this
have to look at the list of staff.
Yeah. They've everybody for everything, kind of way. And
they're 2 and 3 in where we've won.
Yeah. So getting back to the question, like, can they make the group stages? You don't need to have all that they have, but you certainly need to be touching on most of it. You know, you don't need to have 3 physios if you have one good one. You know what I'm saying? If you don't need to have 6 or 7 coaches if you've got 2 or 3 really good ones, etc., etc. To make that breakthrough, it's the collective. If you don't hold on to the ball, that's it. And that's what we're putting huge emphasis on: retaining the ball and passing, and being patient, and making sure people are in areas so we can go and link it in. And if you do that, sorry, to get back to your question, can it be done? Well, it's been done by Rovers, so sure, why can't it be done again? You know? And whether the Champions League is a tougher one to get to than the Europa League, let me tell you. But like I say, the resources that these clubs would have, you're always on the back foot, you know, the kind of way. One of our answers, isn't it? Okay, you have all those bits and pieces there. You know, you can take what you want out of that. Okay, guys. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.